So if you've been submitting hundreds of applications to find a job, you're submitting resumes, nothing is happening, you can't get interviews, you can't get callbacks, you're not alone. In fact, this is a major problem. In today's video, we're gonna break down why the online resume job application process is completely busted. And I'm gonna give you basically the secret sauce, the way to actually get hired at that job. So if you want to know how to keep up with AI, the job markets, careers, this is definitely the time to hit subscribe, guys. 6 days a week, I'm bringing you a fresh video on this topic. See, what you don't understand is that the odds are stacked against you. You need to submit at least, on average, 250 applications online to get hired. You have a 0.4% chance of getting a job when you submit an application. So essentially, submitting a resume to an online job board is basically like burning your resume. You might, it's cold out right now, you're probably better off just burning that resume for firewood. But don't just take my word for it. According to Greenhouse, the average job opening this past quarter received 242 applications. Guys, this is triple the volume of applications since 2017, which was another time when unemployment was at a comparable level. Now, guys, this is just the average. This is not taking into account the large employers or the more prestigious companies. If you're looking at a big company like a Microsoft or Goldman Sachs or an Accenture or Salesforce, your chance of getting hired off of an online resume is essentially zero. It is not going to happen. It just feels like the entire online application hiring system is completely broken. These companies are being absolutely flooded with applications, and a lot of times the people that are applying for jobs are completely unequipped. Don't just take my word for it though. Listen to what Nobel-winning economist Alvin Roth of Stanford says. He says, congestion is the bane of a lot of markets. Successful marketplaces have to fight very hard to defeat congestion. And by the way, just as a quick side note, it's not just the online hiring and job application process. When you look at the internet, the amount of scale that's happening is insane. It's absolutely insane. I mean, online dating, for example. When online dating first came out, people were like, this is cool, I'm meeting Cindy, and that was really cool. Now, put it in the comments below if you've been involved in online dating. I was lucky enough to meet my wife 19 years ago, so I kind of avoided the mess, but I cannot even begin to imagine what it's like going on an online Tinder marketplace to find your significant other. It just seems completely impossible. I'm in marketing. Let's take another example, email marketing. You go back 10 years ago, email marketing was really solid. Nowadays, the amount of email spam I get is unbelievable. And it's not just gonna stop there. I covered this in a video a couple days ago. I'll post a link to it here. AI slop is completely out of control. I don't think people fully appreciate how trashy social media is becoming just because people have these AI bots, these AI agents set up with Manus or N8N or one of these programs, and they're just setting up all these automated social media posts to drive engagement. And then what's happening on the back end is they're paying for fake engagement to drive results and it's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And by the way, I really appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel, leaving comments below. This is all organic, guys. I'm not paying for any bots. I'm not paying for any traffic. This is all organic. Thousands and thousands of views. I got 100,000 views last month, for the last several months, over 100,000 views, all organic. So we're keeping it real. We're keeping it 100 over here. But let's continue. Let's continue, guys, because we got to get back on this topic of what's happening with the job markets. What's happening when you submit an application, because the rabbit hole goes deeper. Check this out. On Greenhouse, the application to recruit ratio is now 500 to 1. This is 4 times as many applicants to recruiter. The applicant to recruiter ratio has quadrupled over the past 4 years. Now, not to mention, this is something we've been talking about a lot too. If you're an American, you're not just competing against the neighbors in your backyard. No. You're competing on a global marketplace. And I've been trying to raise the flag on this for a few years. Only now I think people are finally starting to listen. It's that historically you think, okay, well, in my career field, I need to make at least 75 grand a year. That's what it pays for. I'm in digital marketing. We'll give an example. Okay, well, That's great. But you're not just competing against the digital marketers that live in your zip code or your county or even your state. You're competing against digital marketers in India, in the Philippines, in Serbia, in Nigeria, Uganda, all over the world. And I'm not going to go into whether that's a good or a bad thing. It just is a thing. And I think that there's some positives. Is someone like me who owns a business and manages several different marketing initiatives, it's really helpful for me to be able to hire skilled labor globally. I read the 4-Hour Work Week a few years ago, and it really changed the way that I viewed scaling up a business. And now that AI is playing a major role, that's only going to accelerate the amount of competition. It's only going to grow the amount of competition. Now you're not just competing against your neighbors or humans globally, you're competing against AI softwares and robots that are designed to do what you do. So anyway, now we've kind of covered the problem that the employers have. For every time they post, they get hundreds and hundreds of applications. They have to sift through all that garbage. But what about you? What about the applicant? You know, because that's frustrating. It's frustrating when you need to submit 300 applications to get a call back. And again, by the way, I've seen a ton of comments on the channel over the past few weeks. Mark, I've submitted 200 applications. I've gotten 2 interviews, no callbacks. And it's like, crap, what do I do? Dozens. If you're in that camp, by the way, if you've submitted a bunch of applications, not gotten results, put it in the comments below there. I'm telling you, you are not alone. You are not alone. This is a real thing. It's crazy. And anyway, so this is happening. And so applicants just like you are getting very, very frustrated by all this job bloat and by even ghost job postings. These ghost job postings are posted by employers, and they're not even trying to get hired. They just want to build their bank. They want to build their bench, so to speak. And we covered this in a video as well. I'll post a link to this video now, because the ghost job listings, guys, if you're trying to apply for a job online, you are up against it. It is going to be tough. These ghost job listings are out of control. So what happened and what is happening? What do people like you do? Well, you figure, okay, well, if I need to submit 250 applications to get a job, on average, again, it could be a lot higher than that, you think, okay, I just need to apply, I just need to submit a bunch more job applications. And mind you, I would bet that 250th job application you submit is probably not the first job on your list. So what you end up doing is settling for a job that you don't even want to do, or you're maybe not qualified for, or you don't want to stick around for too long. You end up saying, I'll just take anything, which isn't good for you or the employer. Anyway, regardless, so what happened? You say, I need to submit more applications. So this is what people did. They're using AI to fill out applications at scale. Greenhouse found that 74% of applicants use AI in their job applications. And by the way, the other 26% that aren't using AI are probably not hireable anyway, because you're not thinking about the way that the world works now. Bottom line, guys, if you're not using AI in your daily routine, you're kind of missing the boat. It's kind of like typing on a typewriter when people are using word processors or text to speech or speech to text to type out letters. Anyway, I digress. People are using much more AI, and some more of the more sophisticated users are using AI agents. So you can just give your AI agents the right prompts and say, hey, go to Greenhouse or to Indeed and just start filling out a bunch of applications. This is what I'm looking for, and it will go and do that. So you got issues. I mean, I've done some cool things too with AI agents. I've said, hey, submit, I'm looking for sponsors for my show. Go ahead and go reach out to all these different sponsors you think will be a good fit and send it over. And it did a decent job. It needs some more tweaking. Regardless, using AI agents is kind of where we're going in 2026. All the meantime, while you're up against hundreds and hundreds of other applicants, everyone's using AI, you're up against AI agent robots. At the same time, these companies are downsizing their HR departments. We've covered this at length in videos too. Mind you, when I say HR, I'm thinking about, okay, how do we onboard people? Not the Karen who wants to tell you that, you need to turn your music down, or that you need to put on deodorant. Or that you should stop your microaggressions. That's a whole nother story. What I'm talking about is the people that screen the applications. And what's ended up happening is these companies are they're kind of put into this box where, because so many people applicants are using AI to apply for these jobs, they need to keep up by using AI also. We covered this in a video a little while ago. I'll post a link to it here. McDonald's has screened, at the time of recording this, McDonald's had used Paradox AI to screen 64 million job applications. And it wasn't just McDonald's, by the way. As we dove deeper into that story, Wendy's, Taco Bell, 7-Eleven, all the companies are using AI to screen these applicants. At the flip side, there is some danger to doing that. So these HR companies are a little bit concerned about litigation of discrimination. You know, for example, there's a group of job seekers that sued Workday, alleging that the AI-powered technology is discriminating against elderly folks. And whether it is or whether it isn't, I don't know, I'm not getting into that in this video. Regardless, this is a big concern. So you've got companies who have to screen way more applications. You've got applicants who need to submit way more applications to get jobs. It's a big problem. It's this like circular issue that's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And so here's the solution, guys. And by the way, if you enjoy the video and you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do that. And check out my newsletter, aiupdate.ai. It's completely free, and I'm giving you the best resources that I'm finding that are working for people just like you. So go to aiupdate.ai. So here's the deal. What do you do? What do you do? Because if the idea of submitting hundreds of applications to get a job that you probably aren't even that excited about, what are we even doing here? We were meant to thrive. We are in a time where technology and AI and opportunity is abundant, boys. It is abundant, but you're gonna have to think differently. You can't just do it the way that your granddad did it or that you were taught in school. You're gonna need to think differently. And certainly the idea of just submitting a bunch of job applications online is not gonna work. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but relying on that is the way to get hired is not gonna work. Boys, this is what it comes down to. And I think this is an interesting point. It's that we've come so far into this digital age that people are more disconnected than ever. People are not connected. And that, my friend, is where you find your advantage. It's human to human relationships. It's human to human relationships. You need to know someone. You want to get a good job, you need to know someone, you need to get the referral. In fact, you are 5 times more likely to be hired if you get referred. And that hiring process is cut nearly in half from 55 days to 29 days. And by the way, the retention of that job is much higher as well. It's up to 50% higher. So employers want to get referrals. They want to get referrals. And you know, there's this idea that you are 7 degrees of separation from knowing anybody in the world. And what that means is that if you can develop relationships with one person to the second person, the third person, if your network is strong enough, you can essentially connect with everyone. And I've built up a very vast network over the years using my podcast, going to events, speaking at conferences, working with different clients and customers, things like that. You know, I'm very active on social media. I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of views. So I put in the work to build up relationships. But here's where it comes down to. It does take work. And if you haven't done this, I would encourage you to do this. Hop on the phone with some people this week that you respect, but you maybe don't talk to that often. Connect, talk about football, talk about the stock market, talk about AI, talk about the job market, just connect. And, you know, casually pepper in, hey, you know, by the way, if you know anything, I'm kind of looking for a position here. The chances are they might not know anyone, but they might. And, you know, you take a few stabs at that, opportunities will present themselves. The next part of this, guys, which I think is very important, is that you need to be HR friendly. You need to have HR friendly is such a crappy way of putting this. You need to have a personal brand. You need to have a social brand. And I know a lot of guys just don't really want to have these like robust social media profiles. It doesn't need to be that way. But what I would recommend is at the very least, have your LinkedIn information up to date. Have maybe your personal Facebook up to date, or, you know, maybe you're on X or on whatever social media platforms you use. make sure it's up to date. At the very least, your LinkedIn should be up to date, because the first thing an employer is going to do is they're going to go to your social media, they're going to search for you on social media, and they're going to see what you're about. They're going to see, what do you do? Are you active? Do you understand the way the world works? This stuff is important. And, you know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk politics, but if someone, like, let's put it this way. If you're like flaming out on a politician all day, every day on Facebook, and that person finds you, you better hope that they're aligned with you politically, because if they're not, or even if they are, I would consider myself center right. And if I see someone that's like way to the right or someone that's way on the left, I'm like, I can't. It's too much stress, man. So anyway, just think about that as well. So your personal brand matters. If you want some more strategy on your personal brand, you know, post in the comments below any questions you have. Maybe I'll record a video on that, because I think that it is really, really important, the way that you stand out in the world. So anyway, make calls, make sure your LinkedIn is updated. Here's a quick tip on LinkedIn. If you haven't posted in a while, just make a note that, you know, twice a week at least, you'll just post something interesting that's highly relevant to your field. I don't care if you use ChatGPT to do it. Say, hey, you know, I'm in this industry, I'm trying to find a job in this industry. Give me some interesting stats that I can share on LinkedIn. You could do that. You could follow some big accounts on LinkedIn and just share interesting posts on yours. It doesn't need, we're not doing this, guys, to make millions of dollars. We're not doing this to drive thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of views on our LinkedIn profile. We're just doing it so that if someone lands on our LinkedIn profile, the person is gonna consider you as somebody that's knowledgeable and that they would want to work with. That's kind of the point. All right, so that's kind of my quick primer on how to beat and gamify the system. Please believe it is a game, and you're up against it. If you're trying to find a job online in this day and age, you have your work cut out for you. It is a challenging time. It's not easy. So it all comes down to, you know, check that out. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, if you liked and subscribed, you are the man, the myth, the legend. Make sure you check out yesterday's video where we talk about what's happening with the H-1B visa program. There have been some new updates, and there are some workarounds that employers are engaging with in order to, well, find people to work for them that aren't you. So you definitely need to, guys, you need to know what's happening with the H-1B visa program. It's a big deal. There's a lot of shakeups there. All right, boys, I'll catch you next one. In the meantime, Happy New Year. Peace.